At 1:42 a.m., an elite Black Ops unit was activated for a mission that was never meant to exist. No briefing, no warning, just one message: possible extraterrestrial contact. They were sent to recover a crashed object outside San Diego. Minutes later, they vanished. 43 days later, they came back, with no memory of where they'd been, and medical evidence proving they were never supposed to return. Some missions are never acknowledged. Some reports are sealed away, classified, forgotten, denied. But behind closed doors and redacted files, the truth still echoes. These are the stories they never briefed the public on, the operations that went wrong, and the ones that were never meant to be found. You're listening to the whispers that survived the silence. This is Whispers of the Military. Unit 6 was activated at 0142 hours. The call didn't come during a mission. It didn't come during a briefing. It came in the quiet, unguarded moments of normal life, when no one expects the world to end. Captain Aaron Cole was asleep, not the shallow, alert sleep of a deployed soldier, but the rare, heavy kind. His phone vibrated once on the nightstand, then again, then a third time, louder. Cole's eyes snapped open immediately. Years of conditioning kicked in before thought. He reached for the device, already sitting upright as the encrypted alert burned onto the screen. Unit 6, immediate response. He didn't read past it at first. He didn't need to. Cole glanced beside him. His wife slept on, unaware, one hand curled against the empty space where his shoulder had been seconds earlier. In the dim light, her breathing was steady, peaceful. He watched her for a moment longer than necessary. Then he stood, pulled on his clothes in silence, and slipped out of the house without a sound. Staff Sergeant Vasquez was still awake. A half-empty glass sat on the bar in front of him, condensation running down the sides. The place was loud, music thumping, laughter spilling over itself, the kind of noise that helped drown out everything else. He told himself he was only stopping for one drink. Then his phone buzzed. Once. The screen lit up in that unmistakable shade of red. Vasquez didn't swear, didn't hesitate. He just set the glass down, untouched, and stood. "Duty calls?" the bartender joked. Vasquez didn't answer. He was already gone. Miller saw it happen. He was 3 hours into a night rotation at a secure command facility, eyes burning from staring at layered radar feeds and satellite overlays that rarely changed. Then something broke every rule. A streak cut across the display, not descending, not orbiting, but sliding, as if reality itself had bent to let it pass. No heat signature, no known propulsion curve. Miller leaned forward, fingers flying across the console. "What the hell are you?"
"What the hell are you?"
he muttered. The object vanished from radar and reappeared lower. Too low. An impact registered seconds later. Miller's phone vibrated before he could say a word. "Unit 6. He swallowed.
"Guess not."
He whispered to no one. The bag snapped shut. Each of them received the same encrypted transmission. No explanation, no embellishment. Just raw facts, stripped of comfort. Possible extraterrestrial contact. Crash site confirmed. San Diego County outskirts. Eyes on intel recovery. No civilian contact. That was all. And it was more than enough. Unit 6 didn't get called for possibilities. They got called when something had already gone wrong. Within 20 minutes, they converged. No greetings, no small talk, no questions. Gear snapped into place with muscle memory alone. Weapons checked in silence. Night vision locked in. Radios synced. Biometric trackers came alive beneath skin-tight uniforms. Soft pulses confirming heart rates and neural activity. 4 men, 1 unit. Years of shared operations. No explanations needed. Captain Aaron Cole, team lead. Calm, precise, the voice you followed without thinking. Vasquez, heavy weapons and security, built like a battering ram, loyal to a fault. Miller, tech and communications, the man who saw what others missed. Reed, recon, and overwatch, quiet, always watching. 2 unmarked helicopters lifted off minutes later, slicing low over the coastline with lights dark. Below them, the Pacific stretched black and endless. Inland, the glow of San Diego thinned and vanished, replaced by rolling scrubland and empty hills. Cole leaned into his mic, voice steady.
All right.
He said,
Intel says the crash occurred 20 minutes ago. No known aircraft missing. No civilian traffic.
Miller hesitated. Vasquez exhaled slowly.
So it's not ours.
Cole stared out into the darkness beyond the cockpit glass.
No,
He said quietly.
not anyone's.
The cabin fell silent, and somewhere ahead something waited. The cabin fell silent, and somewhere ahead something waited. They set down nearly 2 miles from the coordinates. Standard procedure. No one wanted rotor wash anywhere near something they didn't understand. The helicopters lifted away without ceremony, their sound fading into the distance until there was nothing left but the land and the men moving through it. The night was wrong, not quiet in the peaceful sense. Quiet in the way predators make it before they strike. No insects chirred, no coyotes called, no distant hum of highways bleeding through the dark. Just the low hiss of wind brushing through dry grass and scrub, moving in slow, uneven waves. Reed took point, eyes scanning through night vision, body low and fluid as he advanced. Every few steps he paused, listening. Something felt pressed, like the air itself was holding its breath. They moved downhill toward a shallow ravine, boots crunching softly over gravel and dead brush. Halfway down, Reed stopped so abruptly the others nearly collided with him. His fist went up. The unit froze.
Hold.
Cole murmured. Reed tilted his head, staring ahead.
Do you see that?
He whispered. Cole shifted beside him, peering past the ravine. At first, he saw nothing. Then, light. Not fire, not flares, not reflected starlight. A faint glow pulsed softly against the earth beyond the ravine, illuminating the ground in a way that didn't make sense. It didn't cast shadows the way light should. It bled outward, diffused, like moonlight filtered through deep water. Miller frowned behind his goggles.
That's not heat.
He said.
No IR spike.
Vasquez tightened his grip on his weapon.
Then what is it?
No one answered. They descended slowly, every step deliberate. The glow grew stronger as they crossed the ravine, the air growing oddly cool despite the dry night. Cole felt pressure building behind his eyes, faint but noticeable, like altitude sickness without the altitude. Then the shapes emerged. The craft lay partially embedded in the earth, resting at an angle as though it had simply settled there rather than crashed. The ground around it was scorched in a perfect oval, grass flattened outward in a radial pattern. The surface was smooth, too smooth, curved in ways that made Cole's eyes slide off it, like his brain refused to finish processing what it was seeing. No rivets, no seams, no panels, no markings. It looked less constructed and more grown, organic.
Jesus Christ.
Vasquez muttered. Near the craft, bodies, small ones, scattered in the dirt and grass, unmoving. Miller approached first, lowering himself beside one of the figures. His voice dropped, tight and uncertain.
Are these kids?
The figure was roughly 4 feet tall, thin limbs, narrow shoulders, an oversized head tilted at an unnatural angle. Cole stepped closer and felt his stomach drop. The proportions were wrong. He knelt beside Miller and reached out, stopping just short of touching the body.
That's not human.
He said quietly. Up close, the differences became impossible to ignore. The skin was pale gray, faintly translucent, with subtle veins visible beneath the surface. The fingers were too long, jointed in unfamiliar places, no visible ears, no hair, and the face, smooth, almost unfinished. Like something mid-design, the eyes were large, dark, and reflective, catching the faint glow and returning it with unsettling clarity. Vasquez swallowed hard.
We're not alone.
He said. Reed scanned the perimeter, pulse quickening.
No movement, no heat signatures, nothing else out here.
That doesn't mean anything.
Miller replied. They were within yards of the craft now. The glow intensified, brightening rapidly, the air vibrating with a low-frequency hum that Cole felt in his teeth more than his ears.
Something's...
Miller started. Then the world detonated into white. No sound, no pain, just light, blinding, total, absolute. And then, nothing. The flash. No sound at first, just absolute brightness. Then pain, a piercing, skull-splitting ring that felt like it was vibrating their bones apart. Cole tried to scream but couldn't hear his own voice. Gravity vanished. The ground was gone. Then, stillness. Cole came back in fragments. Not all at once. Pieces of awareness drifting in like debris after an explosion. Light was the first thing he felt. Not warmth, not comfort. Heatless, surgical brightness pouring straight down into his eyes, sharp enough to sting even through closed lids. His vision fluttered, darkness peeling away in layers until the world snapped into focus. White, brilliant, sterile, endless. His first instinct was to move. He couldn't. The realization hit harder than any blow. His wrists were bound, arms pinned at his sides by smooth metallic restraints that hummed faintly against his skin. Ankles locked down, bands pressed across his chest and thighs, tight enough to restrict his breathing just slightly, enough to remind him they were there. He was flat on his back, on something cold, a table. Panic surged, hot and immediate, slamming into his chest. He strained instinctively, muscles screaming as he tested the restraints. Nothing budged. The surface beneath him was seamless and smooth, colder than steel, vibrating faintly. Alive, maybe. The sensation made his skin crawl. Control it, he told himself. Breathe. He turned his head as far as it would go, and his stomach dropped. Miller was to his right, strapped down exactly the same way, head tilted slightly to the side, eyes closed, chest rising and falling in shallow, steady breaths. Beyond him, Vasquez, still, too still, and Reed, all four of them laid out in parallel, like specimens.
Guys!
Cole tried to shout. The word never made it past his throat. His mouth opened. His lungs pushed air. No sound came out. A deeper terror settled in, cold, suffocating. He tried again, forcing the word harder, willing his voice to exist. Nothing. Then movement. Four shapes stepped into his field of view. Tall, slender, gray-skinned. They moved without urgency, without sound, gliding rather than walking. Their limbs were long, joints bending at unfamiliar angles. Their heads elongated backward, smooth and hairless, dominated by eyes that were vast and black and impossibly reflective. They wore no clothing, no equipment he could recognize. No mouths moved. Yet, do not resist. The voice filled his mind completely. Not heard, inserted. It had no tone, no emotion, no volume. It simply was, overriding thought like a command written directly onto his consciousness. Fear complicates the process. Cole thrashed instinctively, muscles straining against the restraints. His heart pounded so violently, he was sure they could see it through his chest. "What the hell do you want?" he thought, and froze. He hadn't spoken. The realization sent a fresh wave of dread through him. The beings didn't react. One tilted its head slightly, eyes narrowing, analyzing, adjusting. Observation, calibration, correction. The words triggered something inside him. Images flooded his mind without warning, stars collapsing in on themselves. Planets split open by forces he couldn't name. Before we continue, if these hidden stories matter to you, please take a moment to hit the like button. It helps keep these voices from being buried again. And if you want more untold military stories, classified mysteries, and forgotten missions, subscribe to Whispers of the Military, because silence is exactly what they count on. Cities burning beneath alien skies, architecture twisted and unfamiliar, silhouettes of things moving through the smoke that were not human. He gasped silently, tears stinging his eyes. Your species is loud. Your weapons echo across dimensions. The pressure behind his eyes intensified, like invisible fingers probing, sorting, rearranging. One of the beings leaned closer. Its face was inches from his own now. Up close, the skin was thin, almost translucent, faint veins visible beneath the surface. The eyes reflected everything. Cole, the light, the table, the fear. You were not meant to see us yet. His heart hammered so hard it hurt. He tried again to scream, to fight, to do anything. The restraints tightened subtly in response. The light above him grew brighter, sharper, overwhelming. This will be over soon. The words weren't reassurance. They were a statement of fact. White swallowed the room. Thought, sound, time. Everything vanished. Cole screamed. The sound tore out of him. Raw, hoarse, animal. Hands clamped down on his shoulders, hard enough to hurt.
Aaron, wake up!
He sucked in air violently, lungs burning like he'd been underwater too long. His chest heaved as he gasped again. And again, the night slamming into him all at once. Cold, sharp, real. Vasquez hovered over him, kneeling in the dirt, face pale beneath the glow of his wrist display. His eyes were wide, unfocused, panic bleeding through the hardened edges of a man who didn't panic easily.
We gotta move.
Vasquez said, voice tight.
Now.
Cole shoved himself upright, adrenaline flooding his system as he scrambled to his feet. He spun in a full circle, heart hammering, and the world didn't make sense. They were back in the ravine, the same shallow cut in the earth, the same scrub brush, the same rocky incline rising on either side. But everything else was wrong. No craft, no bodies, no strange glow bleeding into the soil, just dirt, stones, dry grass whispering in the night wind, empty.
What?
Cole staggered, a wave of dizziness crashing into him as he clutched his head. His skull felt too tight, like something inside it hadn't settled back into place. No, we were,
You remember it too?
Miller blurted out, his voice cracking. Cole froze. Miller was on his knees a few yards away, one hand pressed to his temple, the other braced against the ground like he was afraid it might vanish beneath him. Reed stood a little apart from the rest of them, staring down at his hands as if they belonged to someone else. His fingers trembled uncontrollably.
I was on a table.
Reed said quietly.
Couldn't move. Couldn't talk.
Cole met Reed's eyes.
So were we?
The words settled over them like a burial shroud. For a moment, no one spoke. Vasquez was the one who broke the silence. He turned slowly, scanning the ravine, the hills beyond it, the dark stretch of land where their vehicles should have been.
Where are the Humvees?
They followed his gaze and felt their stomachs drop. The ground where the vehicles had been parked was bare. No tire tracks, no disturbed dirt, no sign that anything had ever been there.
Okay?
Miller muttered, voice rising.
Okay, that's not...
He yanked his radio free, thumb jabbing the transmit button hard enough to make it click loudly in the quiet.
Base, this is Unit 6. Come in.
Static hissed back at him. Long, empty, unforgiving. Miller tried again, adjusting frequencies with shaking fingers.
Base, respond.
For a moment, Cole was sure no one would answer. Then,
Unit 6.
a voice crackled through, distorted and stunned.
Say again.
Miller's head snapped up like he'd been struck.
This is Unit 6.
Cole said, stepping in, forcing his voice steady.
We are at the crash site. Request immediate extraction.
Silence, longer this time. Then the voice returned, lower now, careful.
Unit 6. You went dark 43 days ago.
The words didn't register at first. Cole felt the ground tilt beneath him, the ravine seeming to stretch and warp at the edges of his vision. Vasquez breathed. Vasquez breathed. Vasquez breathed. Cole closed his eyes. The weight of it crushed down on him all at once. The table, the light, the voice in his head, the sense of being taken apart and put back wrong.
What day is it?
He asked quietly. There was a pause. Then the answer came. And whatever part of Cole had still been holding itself together finally shattered. The extraction. The helicopters arrived without ceremony. No sirens, no lights. Just the low, distant thump of rotors cutting through the night. Growing louder until the sound pressed against Cole's skull like a physical force. Two Black Hawks crested the hills to the east, matte black silhouettes swallowing starlight as they descended. Reed popped a chem light and hurled it into the open, the green glow harsh against the darkness. They didn't move until the skids hit dirt. Operators poured out first, faces hidden behind visors, rifles sweeping the ravine in practiced arcs. They moved fast, tight formations, professional and wary. Not one of them asked what had happened. They already knew something had gone wrong.
Unit 6, identify.
A voice barked. Cole stepped forward automatically.
Captain Aaron Cole, team lead.
A medic was on him instantly, hands gripping his arms, scanning him with a handheld device that chirped softly. Vitals elevated, the medic muttered, but stable. Vasquez laughed once, a short, broken sound. No one smiled. They were guided, escorted, toward the helicopters, weapons gently but firmly nudging them along. No questions, no debrief, just movement. Cole glanced back once. The ravine looked exactly as it had when they'd first arrived, untouched, like it had been waiting for them to leave. Inside the helicopter, the noise swallowed everything. Rotors thundered overhead, vibrating through bone and teeth. Red interior lights painted everyone in the same bloodless shade. The ramp slammed shut, sealing them inside. Harnesses clipped, straps tightened, no one spoke. Cole sat rigid, staring straight ahead, hands clenched into fists so tight his knuckles burned. Across from him, Miller stared down at his boots, jaw locked, lips moving silently like he was counting or praying. Reed sat hunched, elbows on his knees, helmet still on. His gloved fingers twitched intermittently, like something was still sending the signals his body hadn't learned to ignore. Vasquez leaned back against the bulkhead, eyes closed, not resting, bracing. The helicopter lifted off, the sudden weightlessness sending a jolt through Cole's stomach. He swallowed hard. Minutes passed, maybe more. Time didn't feel right anymore. Cole finally broke the silence, his voice barely audible even over the roar of the engines.
Did anyone else hear a voice?
Miller's head snapped up.
Yes!
Reed didn't look up.
It knew my name.
Vasquez exhaled slowly through his nose.
It told me to stop fighting.
The words hung there, heavy and poisonous. Cole nodded once.
It said we weren't supposed to see them yet.
No one asked who they were. They all already knew. A medic moved down the line, checking restraints, scanning pupils, asking routine questions. Any pain? Any nausea? Any memory loss? No one answered the last one, because they all remembered. Too much. The helicopter banked west, the coastline invisible beyond the darkness. Somewhere below them, the ocean waited, vast, indifferent, unchanged. Cole closed his eyes. Behind his lids, the white light still burned, and for just a moment, so brief he almost missed it, he felt the same pressure in his skull, like something listening. The debrief, they never saw the sun. From the moment the helicopters touched down, Unit 6 ceased to exist as a team. Hands guided them off the aircraft. Not rough, not gentle, efficient, anonymous. Each man was pulled in a different direction. Names replaced by clipboard numbers and wristbands snapped tight enough to bruise. Cole tried to look back. A gloved hand pressed between his shoulder blades and steered him forward. The medical wing was underground. No windows, no clocks. Just white corridors that smelled faintly of antiseptic and ozone, the air humming with machinery he didn't recognize. His gear was taken. His clothes followed. Everything cataloged, bagged, and removed without comment. He was left standing barefoot in a paper gown. A door slid open. Step inside. The room was too clean. Cold metal table. Overhead lights calibrated to surgical brightness. Machines lined the walls, some familiar, others not. Devices without labels. Screens displaying waveforms Cole didn't recognize. Pulsing in slow, uneven rhythms. They drew blood, then more blood. Tissue samples, hair, nails, retinal scans. Full-body imaging that penetrated deeper than anything he'd encountered in service. The machines made soft clicking sounds, almost curious. No one explained the results. They only asked questions, over and over. What did you see? What did they say? Did you feel pain? Did you experience missing time? How long do you believe you were aboard? Cole gave the same answers every time. I don't know. I don't remember. It didn't feel like time. Cold metal table. Overhead lights calibrated to surgical brightness. Machines lined the walls, some familiar, others not. Devices without labels. Screens displaying waveforms Cole didn't recognize, pulsing in slow, uneven rhythms. They drew blood, then more blood. Tissue samples, hair, nails, retinal scans. Full-body imaging that penetrated deeper than anything he'd encountered in service. The machines made soft clicking sounds, almost curious. No one explained the results. They only asked questions, over and over. What did you see? What did they say? Did you feel pain? Did you experience missing time? How long do you believe you were aboard? Cole gave the same answers every time. I don't know. I don't remember. It didn't feel like time. On the third attempt, a senior physician entered the room and watched in silence. Afterward, Cole overheard whispered words through the cracked door.
A pattern formation where there shouldn't be any. So temporal lobe activity doesn't align with baseline. Memory engrams don't look human.
They stopped letting him hear conversations after that. Weeks passed. Maybe. There were no calendars, no indication of day or night. Meals arrived at irregular intervals. Sleep came in fragments, interrupted by sudden tests or vivid dreams that felt less like memories and more like echoes. Once, during a cognitive test, Cole answered a question before it was asked. The evaluator froze.
What did you say?
She asked carefully. Cole blinked.
I don't know.
They ended the session immediately. Eventually, they brought the team back, separately. Cole saw Miller through a glass partition once. His eyes were hollow, unfocused, like he was listening to something no one else could hear. Reed refused to speak at all. Vasquez failed a simple motor test, his hand lagging half a second behind his intention. The doctors called it stress. The scans told another story. Their watches were returned in sealed evidence bags. Each one showed the same thing. 43 days. Their bodies didn't match the time gap. No dehydration, no starvation markers, no muscle atrophy. But their brains. Unfamiliar neural pathways had formed. Dense clusters of activity in regions associated with memory, spatial awareness, and time perception. Scarring microscopic but deliberate, like something had rewritten portions of them and stitched the rest back together wrong. No explanation was offered, only warnings. They were released quietly, no ceremony, no apologies. Each man signed documents thicker than field manuals, non-disclosure agreements layered with clauses Cole recognized only vaguely. National security, existential threat containment, permanent classification. Unit 6 was officially disbanded. Operational restructuring, the memo read. Cole never saw his team together again. At night, sleep came hard, and when it did, it never lasted. Sometimes, just as he drifted off, he felt that familiar pressure behind his eyes. That subtle, invasive presence, not inside his head, but near it, waiting. Once, only once, he heard the voice again. Not spoken, not imagined. Your world is not ready. Cole sat bolt upright in bed, heart pounding, room dark and silent. Then the rest came. But it will be. Thank you for listening. If this story pulled you into the shadows, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Your support keeps these stories from being buried here at Whispers of the Military.